Frank Lampard or a Steven Gerrard, is it very hard to get your leg in the door in terms of the Championship or League One these days? Do you really have to start below at the bottom and work your way up as a manager?
Yeah, extremely difficult. And if I've got any gripes, any bugbears in terms of in my life, that's it. Because there's so many ex-footballers that are being put off now doing their licenses, their badges, because they just know that trying to get a foot in the door at any level, really, even in non-league now, it's extremely difficult, because a lot of chairmen tend to go down the old experience, old-fashioned route. And for me, I'd love to see a lot more younger managers within the game, whether that's managing or coaching. So yeah, it's becoming ever more difficult, because certainly at the top level in the Championship, because of clubs tend to go down the foreign route and bringing managers in from abroad. So it's limiting our chances for our young English coaches to come through. And it's sad, because I speak to a lot of ex-players who just say, what's the point in doing my badges? I'd rather go down the media route, because it's an easier route to get work. So it's, for me, I'd love to see it addressed, where as a club, down the football pyramid, have to have certain criterias of young English coaches or British coaches who have played the game within their football club. So yeah, it's becoming ever more difficult, that's for sure.
And Kevin, did you have to think long and hard before taking that opportunity at South Shields? Was it a bit of a gamble, dare I say? Did you have to, was it such the burning passion to be your own boss? You had served stints at Leicester and Derby and Stoke as a first team coach. Was that burning passion to be the manager at all in Costa, even if it was even below even the Conference League that you were going to, or did you really have to think twice about it?
Not really. If I'm being honest, I had to do my research in terms of the club. I never envisaged going in as a manager at that level, but as I've just alluded to, it's so difficult to get even in front of a board at league level or national league level. So, when that opportunity came, I did a bit of research on the club, and if it hadn't have been a full-time club, I probably wouldn't have took it, because I had to move away from my family home to move up here to the northeast. But luckily they were a full-time team, and they had a great facilities, great fan base, and a great setup, and it's all geared for the Football League. So I didn't have to think too hard about it. But you're right, I did, after being a coach for 3 or 4 years at league level, Championship level, I got to the point where I'd like to have that final say, that final decision, and to get that opportunity at Shields was magnificent, fantastic, and certainly one I didn't regret, because it was a successful time there. And now to be given the opportunity, then I spent 9 months out the game, and it just shows you how, even being successful as a manager, I know it was at the Shields level, but there wasn't too many opportunities to get back in those 9 months. So when this opportunity here came at Hartlepool, I jumped at it and was delighted to be given the opportunity at a magnificent football club. It's great to have that final say, that's for sure.
And you mentioned Hartlepool, and we all remember Hartlepool were operating at League One level, and maybe between League One and League Two for many years, Hartlepool were. So they have an awful lot of history in terms of the English League. And it's not long ago that we remember maybe fixtures of Hartlepool against Ipswich Town in League Two, and we've Ipswich Town now nearly on the foot of the Premier League in terms of going up. So it just goes to show you, in a matter of seasons, the fortunes of the two football clubs and the directions they have gone. But Hartlepool, once they were operating League One, always had a big fan base, always had a big sort of crowd and supporters. So when times are good for Hartlepool, there definitely is the resources and the following. It's probably just to get that winning feeling and momentum back into the club.
Yeah, and that is it. And you've hit the nail on the head there. There's been too many seasons now where there hasn't been momentum, there hasn't been stability in terms of too many turnover on managers, players, not enough people performing. The fans will always get behind their team. And I felt, we've all felt for them, because they've had a tough time. So, you're right. I've always associated Hartlepool as a Football League club. And, that's where we're striving to get back to. And, in terms of the infrastructure here, it's there, it's set up for it. They've had it before. Now it's about, trying to put together a squad that can challenge. We're up against some big teams in this league with big budgets. We've got a healthy budget, but we haven't got one that's up there with the big boys. So we've got to be very careful in our recruitment, be clever in our recruitment over the summer. But, you know, we all want to see the good times back here, and, you know, the fans deserve that. They travel, you know, far away with their team, and believe me, there's some hell of a journeys here in this league. So, you know, for me, they've been great. But, you know, all I want to do is put a team together that they can be proud of, and, you know, they get behind, and hopefully that can lead us back to where, you know, Hartlepool should be, and that's in the Football League.
I suppose, Kevin, I know you've only been in the door since January, so you're only wetting your toes in terms of your experience. So as Hartlepool, but if you look back over the whole season as a whole for Hartlepool, I suppose your last 3 games could really sum up the season: a win against Aldershot, followed by a loss against Maidenhead, followed by a draw against Dagenham and Redbridge. So those 3 games really define Hartlepool's season. Really inconsistent at the best of times. Lots of potential, but no real consistency.
Yeah, and that is the key word: consistency. Performing 7.5 out of 10 every week instead of 8 out of 10 one week and then 4 out of 10 the next. You know, for me, you need consistency. Now, you can look at all the variables and why that's happened. You know, we have been, if I want to try and use any excuses, we've had hellish injuries at this football club for whatever reason, and that has to be addressed, and it will be. You know, I'm sitting here now, we're picking a squad Saturday with 13 injuries going into the game, which is unbelievable. So I can literally just about put a squad together for Saturday. And so inconsistent all round. So that needs to be addressed. But you're right, next season, you know, there will be comings and goings over the summer. But I just need to try and put a squad together that will be consistently on the training ground, and then performing consistently Saturday, Tuesday. You know, when you look back at the season, you're right in what you said. We've only managed 2 wins on a Tuesday night throughout the whole season, which for me is unacceptable. You know, that suggests lots of things to me, but that needs to be addressed. So we have a good result on a Saturday, then we go away or whatever, we play at home on Tuesday. We need to follow it up with another performance, and that boils down to application, but also fitness levels. And I believe since I've been here, the fitness levels are not at the standards that I want it to be. So that'll be addressed in the pre-season. But yeah, consistency for me is the biggest word.
And in terms of the media spotlight on the conference, obviously there was an awful lot of spotlight on the conference last year with a thrilling race between Notts County and Wrexham and American owners, and it brought an awful lot of spotlight all over the world, an awful lot of media attention to the conference, and it was great in terms of boosting crowd and figures and sort of promotion. And in terms of, like, obviously those 2 teams have departed now; they've gone up to the National League. Wrexham going up again to League One. But has that sort of stayed? Has that sort of following that brought with it last year, has that carried on into this year in terms of that spotlight? Have you noticed that there's a bit more interest? I know there was always, from the diehard supporters of these clubs, there was always an interest in the Conference League. But do you think that has helped boost promotion? Is it still feeling to be able to rub off what that Wrexham Knox County season did for the conference?
Yeah, I think it just highlighted there's some good teams in this league, some big teams, you know, that have come out of the Football League, you know, that potentially shouldn't be in this league, but they are for whatever reasons. And yeah, I think what Wrexham has done has been, you know, remarkable. Yeah, we all know the investment, but you still have to back that up with performances and results on the pitch. And, you know, for them to go again this season and get promoted just, you know, speaks volumes for what they've done at that football club. And that has to, you know, inspire, you know, other clubs that have done that, because, you know, you've got big clubs in this league, the Oldhams, the Rochdales, the Hartlepools, you know, big football clubs that have played league football. So, you know, it was, you know, for us, certainly going into this season, it was a season where, of course, you've got Chesterfield that ran away with it, who have got, you know, big fan base, you know, got big budget. But when you look at it now for next season, you know, I think it's probably, I'm not going to say it's wide open, but I think it's a level playing field in terms of, I don't think when you kind of look at it, there's no one probably that's going to do a Chesterfield or a Wrexham Notts County. You know, I think the teams coming down, Forest Green and Sutton, you know, I think will have healthy budgets and will be there or thereabouts. But, you know, I think it'll be I wouldn't say a level playing field, but I think it'll be a healthy competition going into the season next year. And